So I was made aware of this little video here called From Paperbacks to PewDiePie, The History of Let's Plays, which is apparently a part of a series called Digressing and Side Questing that's posted on the Game Theorist channel. I gotta tell you, it's terrible, don't watch it, it's all crap, it's none of it. No, I'm just kidding. This guy Ronnie did a history of Let's Play, and it's actually a really, really well done video. A lot of it's well researched. You might have read, like, Kotaku had an article on this. I talked with the author Patrick Klepek a while back, and all sorts of other things. Was it Game Informer had an article, all this stuff, but like Ronnie really managed to pull a lot together here. He found the original Oregon Trail thread, which was actually something I've always had trouble with. He had this like whole kind of looping circle of things, events happening in it. It's just a really well done video. You've honestly probably watched it before this one. There is just one part of it I did want to clear up, and it kind of goes into the part where Let's Plays kind of leave something awful and go out on YouTube. And I totally agree, it was people like C Scrab, Proton John, and like friends and stuff like that who kind of did that. And Ronnie covers it all very well, and essays sort of trepidation at using YouTube as a host. Just a couple things. I have talked to the people who kind of like admined and started like Let's Play Forum.com, like nowadays, which was like the first real website about Let's Play, meaning like notably video Let's Play on YouTube. In the video Ronnie mentions that there is a concentrated trolling effort from SA on YouTube LP, which caused this rift and caused people to form Let's Play Forum.com. I just conferred with Matroixer, who was, I believe, one of the people on there from the beginning. I think Brawl was the admin. I've talked to him in the past, but Matroixer confirmed that part's not quite right. If there was a concentrated trolling effort that led to Let's Play Forum, I don't know about it, neither did Matroixer. I think, honestly, what that was about was there were some people on SA who wanted to just have a forum where they could just talk to anybody about Let's Play and not have to deal with something awful as $10 paywall. As far as the concentrated trolling effort, I think that started with the Let's Play with YouTube thread, which was something awful, which lasted for 2 weeks. I don't know the event where someone cried. I don't know what that's referring to. I remember there was a lot of weird stuff that came out of the Let's Play with YouTube thread, like Ultra J-Man had like this Let's Players United Against Threats to Prey thing where like he played La Mulana but didn't comment over it. It was like the Let's Play equivalent of a candlelight visual. It was a weird time. And then after that 2 weeks, I think there was another thing that was like the Schildkröte initiative, where I think Ultra J-Man joined in on that. It was like this weird thing where, I don't know, Schildkröte was like trying to get YouTube Let's Players to join a cult or something like that. It was a long time ago. It was a little too avant-garde even for a lot of the goons, I think. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on that. And I'm not trying to throw Ronnie under the bus here at all. Truthfully, this stuff is pretty tough to track. It's like stuff when I think back to, I'm like, wait, is that quite right? Or, you know, I wouldn't begrudge anyone for that kind of mistake, because there's just so much going on in that time period of people posting on forums and things like that. The only reason, too, I wanted to address it is because this comes across, too, which, not just in Ronnie's video, but in general, is this notion of elitism on something awful, which is really more complicated than I can kind of give credence to, or is that the right word? So you have to remember, a thing people forget is something awful, the forums generally didn't like Let's Play. And the people doing Let's Play, like me, myself, and the others, what happened was, it really did kind of, like, blow up, per se, with, like, Super Metroid, and then people started posting video Let's Plays like everywhere, and the games forum got really crowded with it. And what happened was we had this other sub-forum called YCS, it's for Your Console Sucks. It was like, it's like more like the shitposting kind of forum, but for games. Like, it's like FIAD for video games, kind of. It's whatever. And they couldn't stand Let's Play. And the mods at the time, the games mods, they loved YCS. But like, I remember there was a point where people in YCS were getting so sick of how many Let's Play threads were in games, and there was like this thread where they kept count like 19 threads on the front page of games. Oh, there's 21 now. So finally, at some point, the moderators asked the admins to create the Let's Play subforum. All Let's Play threads were moved there. And the thing you have to remember about that time is, like, a lot of people on SA were like, oh, finally, like, this nightmare is over. Let's Plays are fucking gone from the games forum. Now they can go into a subforum to rot and die. Yeah, like, people fucking hated Let's Play on Something Awful. And that included the moderators to some extent. Back then, I think it was Axmaniac, Kirex, and JodaCast, and JodaCast I don't think had a strong opinion. Kirex hated Let's Play. Really, really did not like it. And Axmaniac, I think, was kind of like, he was very, like pro YCS at the time, and he was like, yeah, I think Let's Play sucks, but I think there are a couple of good ones here and there. You know, like, he thought it was, like, a good concept, but would kind of get on board with the whole, like, haha, some of these guys are, like, total nerd jerks or whatever. That's exactly how he talked, by the way. No. And to be fair, he wasn't wrong. I mean, there were definitely bad SA Let's Play threads and things like that. My point is that, like, the Let's Play elitism, it wasn't really married to the Something Awful elitism, or it didn't evince itself in the same way. We kind of had this feeling we always had the sort of Damocles over us, and that they were gonna, like, just get rid of the Let's Play forum at any point. Truthfully, I actually learned about letsplayforum.com from YCS, because they were, like, making fun of it in some thread or whatever, and that's what kind of opened my eyes to, oh my god, like, Let's Play spread to YouTube, which, as Ronnie correctly said, didn't transcode videos very well back then. And that's kind of what led to, like, holy shit, like, they're doing, like, 1 million fucking videos of I Want to Be the Guy or whatever. YouTube LPs back then, too, I mean, they did kind of similar things that we were trying to do on SA Let's Play, but, like, kind of a year behind in a different direction. Like, what I mean is, there really were, like, an obscene amount of I Want to Be the Guy Let's Plays. Like, it was ridiculous. It's ridiculous enough that even Kaya Nasaki even, like, I talked to him about it once, and he was like, yeah, no, there were too many Let's Plays back then of my game. But, like, people on YouTube would try to, like, sort of impose weird rules and things to it, like, you're not allowed to edit any footage or whatever. I thought this was true also of letsplayforum.com, although actually someone on Twitter told me recently, honestly, letsplayforum.com had its own sort of elitist set of rules, like everything had to be post-commentary, etc. I think everyone has their own reasons for doing something like that, for doing things like that. For us, I feel like on Something Awful, at least, we wanted to keep the subforum, keep it going, and sort of, like, keep the mods happy. You know, it took a couple years before I became the moderator of SA, but, like, before that, we were really, like, we had just, like, the mod forum was just a giant black box. You had no idea what people were saying about us or whatever. Kirex would poke his head out from time to time and, like, gas some threads or ban some people, and you were always kind of like, I wonder if they are gonna, like, delete the subforum or whatever. So, that kind of elitism came as sort of maybe wrong-headed sort of, like, notion of survival. Like, if our critics in other forums and shit were, like, just saying, like, why are all they're doing is recording video games and talking over them like assholes, like, that's kind of where we wanted to say, like, no, we're not just doing that. We're trying to, like, make, like, a narrated playthrough or make something funny out of it, etc. And I'm not trying to paint black and white here. We absolutely did go too far on some of our rules, definitely, and certain rules that were made didn't quite make a lot of sense and things like that. I think what tends to happen is people look at it through a different sort of filter, and a lot of, like, when you talk about Something Awful and elitism, you have to remember, like, all the boards are different. They all had their own little subculture kind of things, you know? So a lot of times what people who are outside of SA do is they try to apply things that they see in the entirety of the SA forums to LP or YCS or ADTRW or FIAD or whatever, or GPS or whatever, and it doesn't quite work because you really did have people who like didn't care about LP, or people who hated it but would never venture into it, or people who did venture into it and hated it or thought it was elitist, etc. It's very complicated, and what happens is it's very easy and to paint to broad brushstrokes, and I do that all the time too. You know, it was certainly ridiculous to talk about quote unquote YouTube Let's Play. You know, it was silly because obviously it's just a platform for hosting videos. You know what I mean? There really wasn't any sort of like, and still isn't any sort of like real central community per se. You know, it's kind of like you have these things I call like islands of popularity. You know, like you have a giant island called PewDiePie, and then somewhere else you have an island called the Game Theorist, and somewhere farther away you might have an island called like Northern Lion, right? And there are honestly people who've never heard of like 2 out of 3 of those people. As ridiculous as that sounds, yeah, there's like Let's Play fans. They love Let's Play. They have some channel they watch, and you go, you should check this PewDiePie guy out, and they're like, who? It really does still happen, you know? Obviously, it's less likely with someone like him or whatever, but that's kind of my point, you know? There's no centralized community or anything. It's just like a bunch of little sub-communities everywhere. So yes, it was ridiculous of us to talk about YouTube LP like it was one monolithic thing. It's just that you have people who just come to the party and do whatever. Anyway, that's maybe 30 seconds of things I actually wanted to say, blown out into about 12 minutes. But if you haven't seen it, I'll put it in the description and such. Ronnie's video is very good. You know, just I just kind of wanted to throw in my 2 cents there. Thanks for listening to all this crap. Take it easy.
New weapon.